8,000 years ago, an entire part of Europe, larger than the UK, sank beneath the Northern Sea. This region, right here, called Doggerland, was entirely dry and connected Britain to Europe. But when the Ice Age ended and sea levels rose, it slowly got lost under the sea. And eventually, around 6200 BC, a massive underwater landslide off Norway sent a tsunami that completely covered it. We've found human remains in Doggerland that date to 13,000 years ago, which means they were here before the place sank. But the weird thing is that we also found advanced tools from around 50,000 years ago, and that's way before those humans ever lived in this area. This peer-reviewed paper confirms the discovery of a flint blade covered in real glue made of birch tar. It was found here, and it is irrefutable proof of controlled pyrotechnology of Neanderthals. How do we know it was Neanderthals? Well, the oldest human remains we found in Doggerland are just 13,000 years old. Thus, it couldn't have been humans who made it. It was most certainly Neanderthals because the oldest Neanderthal remains we found in that region are 70,000 years old. And that matches our timeline. Why is this birch tar glue so important? Why am I making a big deal out of it? Well, the thing is, you can't just accidentally make it. To make birch tar, you need to heat birch bark to exactly 400 degrees Celsius in an oxygen-free environment. If you do it too hot, it burns. If there's too much air, it also burns. If it's too cool, nothing happens. Yet, Neanderthals were doing this routinely 200,000 years ago. We found birch tar at sites all across Europe, not just in Doggerland. This is Stone Age chemistry, and it wasn't humans who invented it. That's not the only interesting thing archaeologists have found so far. In this area, there are thousands of bone projectile tips. Some were arrow tips, others were spear tips. There's plenty of evidence that these people organized hunts and killed mammoths in the area. They hunted fish, even had boats, and traveled in the sea. We know they crossed water because Neanderthals reached Greek islands like Naxos or Crete over 100,000 years ago. These islands were never connected to the mainland. They were always inaccessible, even during ice ages when sea levels dropped. The only way to get there was by boat alone. But here's where it gets really interesting. At the Brie du Marais in France, we found something incredible stuck to a stone tool, a twisted fiber fragment. The fiber was an actual tree-ply cordage made from tree bark. Think about what that means. They could make rope, and they could make nets, bags, baskets, maybe even clothing beyond just animal skins. And when people say Neanderthals couldn't plan or build, it's because they don't know about Bruniquel Cave in southwest France. In that cave, we found 6 Neanderthal constructions in two ring-like structures made from broken stalagmites. They were melted with fire and conjoined together. Bruniquel proves the capacity of Neanderthals to organize space and to construct when conditions called for it. Neanderthals were the kings of Doggerland and Europe long before humans came. At Abric Romani in Spain, we can see how they organized their living spaces. They had heart-centered layouts with distinct zones, work areas here, sleeping areas there, multiple fire pits arranged purposefully. This doesn't look like just a random camp to me, it's more like a structured living space. They even had specialized tools that modern craftspeople would recognize. They had clothing. Now here's something that really challenges the brutish caveman stereotype. In Croatia, 130,000 years ago, Neanderthals were making jewelry. They took white-tailed eagle talons, notched them, polished them, smoothed the edges, and strung them together. The wear patterns prove they actually wore those. This is the earliest known jewelry in Europe, and it's not made by us, it's made by Neanderthals. The Neanderthals who lived here also traded and traveled vast distances. There's reason to believe they migrated to France and Spain. At Cueva Anton in Spain, which is 40 miles inland, we found marine shells. Someone carried those here from the coast. At other sites, we found stone tools made from materials sourced 200 miles away. I once heard a great phrase from Margaret Mead, the famous American cultural anthropologist. She explains that the earliest sign of civilization was not tools or fire, but evidence of a healed, broken femur bone in an ancient skeleton. Her point is that a femur bone takes many weeks to heal, during which the injured person can't hunt or protect himself. So, according to her, solid proof of a civilization is a skeleton with a broken femur that healed and lived to old age. And I think she's right. Usually in nature, if an animal suffers a broken femur, it dies. But at Shanidar cave in Iraq, we found a Neanderthal we call Shanidar 1. This individual had lost his right forearm, had a crippled leg with a broken femur, and on top of that, he was partially blind and was probably deaf. In nature, he should have died quickly, but in reality, he lived for years after these injuries. Someone was feeding him, someone was protecting him, someone cared. He lived in a society, and in Margaret Mead's words, in a civilization. Neanderthals even practiced medicine. At El Sidron in Spain, scientists analyzed the dental plaque on Neanderthal teeth and found traces of chamomile and yarrow. Both of these are bitter plants with no nutritional value, but they have known medicinal properties. One individual had been eating poplar bark, which contains salicylic acid. That's natural aspirin. They even had traces of penicillin. That's the fungus that produces antibiotics. So when we look at Doggerland, that sunken land beneath the North Sea, we're not just looking at a place where ancient humans lived 13,000 years ago. We are looking at a place where tens of thousands of years earlier, another kind of human built a civilization. Neanderthals, and they made rope and jewelry, they organized their homes, they hunted mammoths together. They healed their sick and cared for their disabled. They weren't primitive, they were people. Commercial fishing vessels still pull up artifacts from the North Sea today. Mammoth teeth, stone tools, human and Neanderthal skulls. Each storm shifts the seabed, revealing new pieces of this lost world. Imagine what else is down there. Entire campsites, meeting places, maybe even villages or the boats they used. And all of it lies beneath the waves, waiting for us to explore. I'm Xuisoko and thank you for watching Into the Unknown. If you like deep dives in ancient mysteries, I recommend you check my episode on Atlantis, because unlike Doggerland, I don't think it's under the sea. I think it's still here, right in the middle of Africa. See you in the next one.